How did the world's most wanted man, Osama bin Laden, slip through every dragnet, every drone, every CIA black op, until one moonless night when a helicopter hovered over a compound in Pakistan and everything changed? Was it luck, technology, or a decade of shadow wars that led to the final raid that ended his reign of terror? What if I told you the hunt for bin Laden began decades earlier? In a hidden war where the CIA poured billions into arming fighters in Afghanistan, never realizing they were empowering the man they would one day spend years trying to kill. This is the untold story of how a secret war meant to defeat the Soviets planted the seeds that would grow into Al-Qaeda, turning allies into enemies and creating a storm that would end with bin Laden's death. But only after America paid the price in blood and fear. Stay with us as we reveal the covert missions, the missed chances, and the final operation that ended bin Laden's life. And if you want to uncover more Black Ops missions and hidden histories that shaped our world, hit subscribe now, because the secrets we're about to reveal are just the beginning. In 1979, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, unaware they had just stepped into a quagmire that would drain their empire. But behind the scenes, a shadow war was brewing, orchestrated by the CIA under the codename Operation Cyclone. Billions of dollars flowed in secret, funneled through Pakistan's ISI, arming a chaotic mix of Afghan fighters determined to repel the Soviet occupiers. It was one of the longest and most expensive covert operations in CIA history, driven by the belief that the enemy of our enemy was our friend, no matter who that friend was. Stinger missiles, rifles, cash, and training were poured into the hands of men who would later become warlords, extremists, and opportunists. Among them was a wealthy young Saudi, Osama bin Laden, who had left his life of privilege to join the jihad. Using his connections and funds, he set up Maktab al-Qidamant, a service bureau to funnel money and fighters into the Afghan resistance. Though the CIA never directly funded bin Laden, the chaos and infrastructure they helped create became fertile ground for his rise, as he built networks and gained combat experience under the protective fog of America's secret war. As the Soviets began to withdraw, Washington celebrated its covert victory, believing they had struck a decisive blow in the Cold War. But in the dusty mountains and caves of Afghanistan, fighters celebrated a different kind of victory, a religious triumph they believed was ordained, a call to global jihad that would not end with the Soviet defeat. The CIA packed up, the funding stopped, and the eyes of America turned elsewhere, leaving behind weapons, ideologies, and veterans of jihad searching for a new enemy. In the shadows of Operation Cyclone, Al-Qaeda began to form. Born from the networks built in a war America thought it had won, yet had unknowingly set the stage for its future nightmare. This was the high price of Black Ops, a victory that created seeds of chaos, setting the world on a collision course with the very forces America had once armed. On August 20th, 1998, the world witnessed America's anger unleashed across 2 continents as over 70 Tomahawk missiles screamed through the night sky, fired from U.S. Navy ships and submarines in the Arabian Sea. This was Operation Infinite Reach, the first direct military strike against Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. It was a swift retaliation for the devastating embassy bombings in Kenya and Tanzania, which had killed over 200 and injured thousands, shaking America's sense of security abroad. Intelligence, pieced together from intercepted communications and satellite imagery, placed bin Laden at Al-Qaeda training camps in Jawar Kili near coast Afghanistan, while suspicions grew that a pharmaceutical plant in Khartoum, Sudan, the Al-Shifa factory, was secretly producing VX nerve agent for terror networks. President Clinton, under public pressure and domestic political heat, approved the strikes, determined to send a message that America would not tolerate terror without retribution. The missiles struck, lighting up the Afghan mountains and flattening the Al-Shifa plant in Sudan, turning the dark sky into a canvas of fire. But the man they were meant to kill slipped away, reportedly leaving the camp hours before the missiles hit. In Al-Qaeda's eyes, this was a divine sign. Bin Laden's legend grew, and his recruitment channels overflowed with eager fighters ready to face America. The aftermath was complex. The Al-Shifa factory was later revealed to have no proven links to chemical weapons, turning its destruction into a diplomatic disaster that strained U.S. relations with Sudan and triggered humanitarian crises due to the loss of critical medicine production. The strikes, intended as a decisive blow, instead showcased the limitations of black ops when acting on fragmented intelligence and highlighted the challenges of hunting an enemy who thrived in the shadows. Instead of silencing bin Laden, Operation Infinite Reach amplified his myth as the man who could survive America's wrath, emboldening him and his followers and pushing the world closer to the storm that was coming. In the fog of secret wars, the cost of missing your target is not just failure, it is feeding the legend of the enemy you seek to destroy. After Operation Infinite Reach failed to eliminate him, Osama bin Laden became America's phantom enemy, slipping through borders and mountains as the CIA launched one of its most intense black ops pursuits in modern history. In 1996, the CIA created Station Alec, a dedicated unit tasked with hunting bin Laden, tracking his movements across Afghanistan, Sudan, and the shifting landscapes of the Middle East. They intercepted calls, monitored couriers, and built fragile webs of informants who risked their lives to deliver scraps of information, hoping to narrow the search for the man behind the embassy bombings. In the dimly lit rooms of Langley, analysts pieced together fragmented intelligence, circling locations on maps where bin Laden might be hiding. But frustration grew. Legal complexities around assassinations, the Clinton administration's fear of collateral damage, and uncertainty in war-torn Afghanistan turned the hunt into a nightmare of missed opportunities. The CIA, working with tribal warlords and Afghan contacts, devised plans to capture or kill bin Laden in his camps in 1998 and 1999. But missions were aborted at the last moment, deemed too risky or reliant on unreliable partners. Meanwhile, the Taliban's rise in Afghanistan provided bin Laden with a sanctuary, shielding him from American reach and refusing extradition even under threat. Inside Afghanistan, the CIA's black ops teams faced a maze of tribal loyalties, shifting alliances and betrayal, while outside, bin Laden's network grew bolder, releasing propaganda videos that taunted America and proclaimed their jihad. As bin Laden moved deeper into the caves of Tora Bora and along the borderlands, the CIA's Predator drones began flying surveillance missions, capturing grainy, ghost-like images of figures in flowing robes. Analysts debated whether the tall man seen walking with followers was truly their target, but drones were initially unarmed, limiting the CIA to watch as bin Laden moved freely. After intense debate, the drones were finally armed with Hellfire missiles, marking a historic shift in black ops tactics. But the challenges of confirming his exact location before striking remained immense. Then came September 11, 2001. The attacks on the Twin Towers and the Pentagon changed everything. Overnight, the mission to capture bin Laden turned into a global manhunt, fueled by rage, grief, and the single-minded goal of justice. The CIA and Special Operations Forces, including Delta Force and SEAL teams, began dismantling Al-Qaeda's networks, launching covert raids, freezing assets, and capturing operatives across the Middle East and beyond. In December 2001, the CIA and allied Afghan forces cornered bin Laden at Tora Bora. Requests were made for additional U.S. troops to block mountain passes. But in a critical decision, American leadership chose to rely on Afghan militias who allowed bin Laden to escape into Pakistan's tribal regions, where sovereignty, tribal codes, and Pakistani intelligence complexities created a near-impenetrable shield around him. For nearly a decade, the CIA's hunt continued, evolving into a sprawling network of secret prisons, enhanced interrogations, and drone warfare, all focused on piecing together the puzzle of bin Laden's location. Informants whispered rumors, intercepted communications, hinted at movements, and every scrap of intelligence was weighed against the risk of acting too soon or too late. Pakistan's tribal belt became a chessboard, with the CIA's black ops colliding with local politics and the double games of the ISI. Pakistan's intelligence agency, which both cooperated and obstructed as America hunted its ghost. Bin Laden, meanwhile, continued to release videos from the shadows, proclaiming victory against America, inspiring jihadists and cementing his legend. The cost of the hunt was staggering. Billions of dollars, countless lives, and entire regions destabilized in pursuit of a single man who had evaded the world's most powerful nation. Yet in the shadows of Black Ops, the relentless pursuit never stopped, setting the stage for the final chapter, when years of drone tracking, human intelligence, and old-fashioned spy work would lead the CIA to a quiet compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, and the mission that would finally end the world's longest manhunt. On a moonless night in May 2011, the hunt for America's most wanted man came to an end. After nearly a decade of drone surveillance, wiretaps, interrogations, and informants risking their lives, the CIA had tracked a trusted courier, Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti, to a mysterious high-walled compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, astonishingly close to Pakistan's elite military academy. For months, analysts in Langley watched the Pacer, a tall figure seen pacing the courtyard, cross-referencing satellite heat signatures and intercepted communications, debating if this shadow was truly Osama bin Laden. The compound's high walls, lack of internet or phone lines, and burning trash signaled something, or someone, important. Despite tensions over violating Pakistan's sovereignty, President Obama authorized Operation Neptune Spear, a Black Ops mission executed by SEAL Team 6 under CIA direction. Stealth-modified Black Hawk helicopters slipped low and silent across the Pakistani border, skimming treetops to avoid radar detection, carrying SEALs armed with suppressed weapons and night vision, and accompanied by Cairo, their military dog. Chaos erupted when one helicopter crash-landed inside the compound due to heat vortex issues, but the SEALs continued, clearing rooms methodically while women and children screamed, gunfire echoing through narrow hallways. In an upstairs bedroom, Osama bin Laden was found unarmed, shot twice, once above the left eye, once in the chest. The man who had orchestrated 9/11 and haunted America for a decade lay dead, while SEALs swiftly collected computers, hard drives, and documents, intelligence that would later dismantle parts of Al-Qaeda's remaining networks. The raid lasted only 40 tense minutes, yet its impact would echo globally. Bin Laden's body was flown out, identified through DNA, and buried at sea to prevent his grave from becoming a shrine. Across the United States, crowds gathered, chanting and waving flags, celebrating an end to the chapter of fear bin Laden had authored. But the mission also strained U.S.-Pakistan relations, exposing the uncomfortable truth that the world's most wanted terrorist had been hiding in plain sight near Pakistan's military hub, raising questions about what their intelligence services knew or chose to ignore. Operation Neptune Spear became the climax of America's longest manhunt, the sharp edge of decades of Black Ops, proving the reach of American covert power. Yet even in victory, it raised questions about the costs of a decade-long hunt, the legality of crossing sovereign borders, and whether eliminating one man could truly end a war that had consumed trillions, reshaped foreign policy, and redefined the rules of modern warfare. It was a moment that began in the shadows of Black Ops, ending in the darkened stairwell of a compound in Pakistan, closing one chapter of America's war on terror while opening others in its wake. As the war on terror expanded, the CIA's Black Ops playbook evolved, embracing a new weapon that would redefine covert warfare: drones. The Predator and Reaper drones became the silent hunters of America's enemies, flying unseen over Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia, and Afghanistan, watching, waiting, and striking with deadly precision. After 9/11, the drone program became the CIA's spear tip in dismantling Al-Qaeda and its affiliates, targeting high-value operatives while minimizing the risk to American forces. Drones hovered over compounds for days, tracking patterns of life, identifying couriers, and confirming the presence of targets before a missile streaked down from the sky. The Black Ops war from above was relentless, killing Al-Qaeda leaders in hidden corners of the world, eliminating threats before they could strike. But with each strike came shadows of controversy, civilian casualties, mistaken identities, and the terror of constant buzzing in the skies above villages, creating resentment that fueled anti-American sentiments. For the CIA, drones were the ultimate Black Ops tool, deniable, precise, and effective in eliminating threats without boots on the ground. Yet the lines between intelligence gathering and targeted assassination blurred as the agency became both spy and executioner, often operating with minimal oversight. The death of Anwar al-Awlaki, an American citizen and al-Qaeda propagandist in Yemen, marked a new chapter, demonstrating the reach of the CIA's drone program, but igniting debates over legality and morality. While drones allowed the CIA to keep pressure on al-Qaeda and its affiliates, they also created a battlefield without borders, where strikes could happen at any moment, in any place, based on secret intelligence. The skies became part of the Black Ops theater, a silent reminder that the war on terror was far from over. In the shadows, analysts monitored feeds, operators executed strikes, and the agency expanded its role in America's longest war. The CIA's drone program became the embodiment of modern Black Ops, effective yet controversial, precise yet imprecise in its consequences. A symbol of a world where the fight against terror continued in the silence of the skies, far from the headlines but always present in the shadows. The shadows of Black Ops stretch far beyond the missions we see, shaping nations and rewriting the destinies of millions, often without a single headline. From arming rebels in hidden valleys to striking with silent drones across starless skies, the CIA's secret wars have left marks that history will continue to uncover for generations. But these missions force us to ask, at what cost does security come? And who truly pays the price for decisions made in the dark? Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe these Black Ops missions were necessary evils? Or were they the seeds of chaos that returned to haunt the world? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to continue uncovering the hidden stories behind history's most secret missions, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive into the unseen world of war. Together, we will continue to pull back the curtain on the wars fought in silence, the missions that changed the world, and the secrets that were never meant to be told. This is Tale of Wars, and the shadows are only just beginning to speak.